So, like, you play Ian.
I exclusively play Ian.
You exclusively play Ian. So you play Ian. No. Chaos Demons always eat, pray, love.
You know it.
Hey, everybody, this is Space Marine Steve sitting here with my main man, Ian, and we are at Hyperspace Hobbies talking the brand new Pariah Nexus release. Woo! Stuff is different.
A lot of changes.
Like, it. What did you say when you came in the other day? You, like, walked in, and you were like, so... who's excited about this brand new game we're going to play?
Yeah, it's essentially an entirely new game, and a lot of the indexes and codexes got big changes to a lot of different things, which is exciting. This is going to leave the game in a very topsy-turvy kind of state for quite a while.
Oh, it's going to take a good while for like the meta to like quote settle. Not that the meta really truly settles anymore. It's going to take a while for everyone to figure out exactly what Pariah Nexus is all about. And there's a few different things like that really affect it. And of course, the first one is the mission pack and whatever, which we'll go over eventually. But ultimately, the points, ups and downs, plus all of the like index rule changes and codex rule changes affect the game drastically. So you play Daemons. And like, what stands out to you as some of, the most intense changes? You want to talk about points first? This is your brand new game. What do you want to talk about?
The first thing I really want to talk about, it's probably the most important thing near and dear to my heart, is please like and subscribe to the channel. It would help Steve and I out a lot. As we're starting off small, we're growing fast. Huge points changes, and they're really important ones in my eyes. Be'lakor, the Lord of Shadow himself, the greatest of demon princes. Be'lakor went down 325.
He went down.
The Bloodthirster dropped. He's had a very up and down time over the last little while. Demon princes both dropped. The on foot 190, the winged 180. Demonettes, nobody even noticed that they went down to 100 points. The Fate Skimmer, which I think now actually is a pretty solid contender. Fiends went down 105 for 3, 210. For 6. Nurglings, their 6 to 9 went down. Their 3 model
is the same.
Yeah, because I think what they're trying to do is stop other armies from just spamming Nurglings. They're making the initial buy-in for Nurglings more expensive.
Right.
And so for 3 of them, it's 40 points. For 6 of them, it's 70 points. And then it goes up a little more. For 9 of them, it's 105. Plague drones, which I know have served me exceptionally well in many games. They went down 110 for 3, 220 for 6. And the Skull Cannon and the Soul Grinder both go down. Skull Cannon to 95. Soul Grinder down 10 points to 180. But they also essentially got an entirely new index. It allows all greater demons to project an aura of Shadow of Chaos for your opponent, which means they're in the -1 to their leadership tests. And if they fail, they take D3 mortals. This does a couple things. When they project it for themselves, it affects them and their enhancements. So their enhancements are always on, instead of them being 1 strength, 1 attack outside of the shadow, 2 strength, 2 attacks in the shadow.
Oh, yes.
Now, if it's on a Bloodthirster, it's always technically on, thus giving you +2 strength and +2 attacks.
Okay, very cool.
Which is phenomenal. Also had the aura, the 6-inch aura affects keyword demons of the same type. So the Bloodthirster projects an aura that boosts, that puts all Khorne units in the Shadow of Chaos.
Oh, okay.
This has huge benefits for a couple reasons. The first one being it makes really easy deep strike charges. The demon deep strike charge bombs are completely back. First thing you do is you drop a Bloodthirster.
Yeah.
Then his Shadow of Chaos projects, and then you drop your Bloodletters.
Yeah.
Making some 4-inch charges.
Nuts.
And they have to just be within
a
couple inches of the Bloodthirster, 6 inches of the Bloodthirster, and they get +1 to their attack as well. So this works with all the named greater demons as well.
Yeah.
And that's a huge boost. So essentially everyone is like a Be'lakor to their own demon kin. Mm-hmm. This does so many different things. I already pointed out that the enhancements are always on. If you put them on a greater demon, they'll always be on.
Very cool.
Top tier. It also triggers most of the stratagems that they have.
I think it's just Infiltrators has to stop this.
Sure. Go ahead.
That's it. That's the only thing.
Yep.
It's just Infiltrators. Is it just like 3 10-man packs of infiltrators? Like,
Okay.
yeah,
Might work.
I don't think it will.
Might be the new meta.
It's not going to be the new meta.
Yeah, just have them all shoot at Be'lakor and see how it goes.
Yeah, it's never going to do
Nope.
it. No, it's never gonna
Nope.
do it.
What you need is you need to kill. A lot of the stratagems that they now have auto trigger on all the greater demons. Advance and charge auto triggers on greater demons. You can get a higher chance of forcing your opponent to like fail a leadership test, entering them in battle shock, allowing you to reroll wounds for particular units after using some stratagems on them. It's awesome.
That's
totally
very good.
insane.
That's very good.
And as far as demons were already fairly good in the meta, this is a massive buff with only points reductions, which is a bit.
yeah, they only got points.
Only points reductions.
On that note, I do have a question for you.
Sure.
Will the points reductions in Daemonettes actually make you play them though?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Yeah. they just are so pillow-fisted. There's no point.
I had to ask.
Yeah. I'd still just pay like 10 more points and put Plague Bearers down because Plague Bearers will be there for probably another turn or two.
Yeah, where Daemonettes will not.
Yeah. Toughness 3. They're not. The toughness 3 and not doing as much damage as Bloodletters. They kind of are in a weird spot. Also, I think the character additions for Bloodletters are much more beneficial to the unit.
Fully agree with you.
Skull Taker giving them devastating wounds and allowing essentially full rerolls against characters because he'll just kill any character unit.
Whatever.
The basic Blood Master gives +1 wound to the unit, which is huge.
Yeah.
On a squad of deep striking Bloodletters, roll a 4-inch charge. Everybody gets +1 wound. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Something I do want to talk about is the negative modifiers to your opponent's leadership and how many ways the Demon Codex can trigger your opponent to take a battle shock test. Every time you fail a battle shock test, you take D3 mortal wounds. So something like deep striking a great unclean one 3 inches from your opponent, it casts a 6-inch aura, maybe touching a couple of opponent's units. Then at the end of your movement phase, it makes one thing -1 for its toughness because it's casting its psychic power. He, at the start of the fight phase, projects an aura that just everybody takes battle shock tests. And after some Zeech units make kills, they project battle shock tests. They're those big chariots. After they make a kill, they go boom and cast a battle shock, which is a lot of ways that you can compound getting D3 mortal wounds on your opponent.
I mean, you use them all the time. What are they called?
Crushers.
Blood crushers, yeah. You just charge in.
Yeah, force a battle shock test on your opponent. If you fail, already taking D3 mortal wounds. And then there's a pile of other D3 mortal wounds you're probably going to take.
Gnarly.
It is insane.
Yeah,
it's
who
really
needs
insane.
other weapons when mortal wounds just does it?
You might be able to mortal wound things out.
Yeah.
which is pretty impressive.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Huh. So what I'm really hearing from you right now is that you're very happy with this update.
Extremely. Yeah. This. Demons were already a lot of fun to play. This just opens up like an additional part of the toolbox for them.
Yeah.
It makes enhancements on any greater demon auto trigger, which is unbelievable. Full-time bonuses all the time.
Yeah.
It sort of put in a bit of a leaf blower leadership test D3 mortal wound thing for demons, which I'm excited to try and then probably shelf if it's really annoying for my opponent. I want to try it out.
Yeah.
And Be'lakor is much cheaper. So that's a huge, he's just a huge all around.
And he's a big,
army
awesome
buff.
model that you have too. Like you want to play him.
Yeah, he's a great centerpiece.
I love it. Okay, so Pariah Nexus has been very kind to you.
Yes, totally. Yeah, and being able to deep strike your battle line units all over the place gives you huge benefits in the new Pariah Nexus. That was my demon rant. Time. Can I get time on that? That was a lot.
Pariah Nexus was not quite as kind to me as it was to you. For some reason, like Space Marines, even with their like 40, high 40% win rate, like still kind of got hit a little bit. And I think it's just because like Space Marines in general have got problems with like internal balance because the model range is really vast. And what they've really tried to do is they've tried to take what is effectively like 8 armies and slam it into a singular book. There's going to be lots of inherent problems with that. And lots of things that they didn't really foresee taking place, and they clearly don't like it. For example, some of the things that went up in points in Space Wolf Land, like all of the all of the Thunderwolf cavalry went up in points, right? And that's obviously because of the wolf jail thing that was taking place.
Very high win rate.
Yeah, it had a good win rate, and it made like people playing Space Wolves their win rate really high, but no one was playing the actual Space Wolf detachment.
The detachment is essentially left in the dust. Yeah.
Exactly, right? Which we'll talk about in a second on the upsides of this. But keeping it just negative first, I want to start with the negatives, and we'll end with the positives.
Sure.
And so that I found was like, oh man, like without this detachment making it what it is, though, I don't know if the Thunderwolf cavalry are actually worth that point total increase.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like the White Scars detachment essentially
is where they shine.
It's where there's
everywhere else is mediocre.
Yeah, but they're still awesome in the White Scars detachment. Now they just get separate bonuses.
Right? They also really targeted the Ironstorm task force or spearhead. Sorry, they really targeted the Ironstorm because that particular detachment, when played with like Dark Angels or Iron Hands or whatever, when you had like the Storm Raven plane and all the dreadnoughts, and particularly with Dark Angels. Actually, if you want to go back to the last video, one of the last videos that we released, we actually talked about a list that beat me in that tournament, and it was this exact thing, right?
Yeah, and it's clipped.
Exactly, and now the wings got clipped. That detachment in general got like kind of a sweeping nerf. Like there's no longer auras. Instead, Tech Marines have to pick vehicles to get the bonuses, and they've changed the way that some of the stratagems work to make them a little bit worse, etc. We didn't make it out of this glowing like the Demon Codex did.
Yeah, I mean,
we didn't make it out of
only
this.
Good
We
things
really
for demons.
didn't.
Yeah.
However, there are some ups, right? For example, Primarchs. I'm looking at the Lion right up there. Primarchs, so Guilliman and the Lion can both walk through walls now.
Oh my goodness.
Which is so cool.
It's so awesome.
Right? So now you actually might see them because they don't have to traverse the terrain in a really weird way.
Which was a huge problem.
Oh,
Any model, and they don't move all that fast.
No.
They don't have like any bonuses for
that.
So good
Yeah.
that they can move through.
Exactly.
And now they can be like a true mid-table threat.
Yeah.
Put them tight in between some type of
Table terrain or
in
whatever.
mid-table terrain, and then just go launching out.
It's awesome.
Because they can solo
anything.
Almost anything.
Anything, right? So that's a big buff, and I think you're going to see some more Primarchs on the table kind of because of it. Additionally, I love that they boosted the transport capacity on our models. Transport capacity has gone up on both impulsors and repulsors.
We were just talking about how to deliver Blade Guard to where they need to go with a character.
Yeah.
And they must have heard us through the warp. And said,
Yeah.
just make the impulsor hold 7. So now you can get 6 Blade Guard
and a character
in
the impulsor,
which is
awesome.
So good.
The repulsor now too is able to hold 6 Gravis Marines plus a character versus just 6 Gravis Marines because it had a transport of 12. Now
That just seems
14.
like a mistake the Games Workshop maybe made a long time ago.
Yeah.
And now they're going, oh right, we didn't do that in the last update. It's about time.
Better do it now.
Because upping the transport capacity just now allows you to play the guys that you wanted to play. Like a full 6-man aggressor squad without a character is not really what typically people would be playing. They'd be putting a character in there. Same with the 7 for the impulsor.
Right?
Did the repulsor executioner go up?
No, just the repulsor.
What does it hold?
6.
6? Okay.
Yeah. So, but you know what though, the repulsor executioner never feels to me anyways like a true transport. You know what I mean? Like it is one, and like I use it to lug around, a singular squad of eradicators. I also use it to house like infiltrators and keep them safe for a round before they jump out and screen for me. Mm-hmm. They're also good at just housing like 5 intercessors and a chaplain or something small, and that's okay because it's kind of like the Razorback version of the Rhino, right?
I get it. Yeah.
And the Razorback's got 6. This has got 6. I'm happy with that. I think that they did okay. They didn't need to make that a thing.
So let's talk about what they did with the Space Wolves.
Oh yeah, because the Space Wolves detachment previously, because you play Space Wolves, I play Space Wolves, and previously that detachment was useless.
I was actually very upset with how the detachment ran.
Yeah.
When I read it, I thought like, okay, if things go perfect, you're going to trigger this on like turn 3. Because turn 1, you're probably not going to do any of the thing.
No.
The character's not going to make any kills.
If you are
And
the
then
luckiest
turn
man alive,
2,
turn 2.
Yeah, at turn 2, you might get one of them, but it doesn't trigger until the end of that turn, so you're not really going to get the benefit.
No.
But that's all changed.
Yeah. And so what happens now is at the beginning of every single battle, beginning of the first battle round, you get to pick one of the sagas in the detachment, and then you get to complete it. And then your army gets that bonus. The phenomenal thing about that is that it functions much like the Black Templar vows, in which when you show up to the table and you've already like set up your armies, that's when you like pick. You don't need to put it in the list that your army is going to do this specific thing.
You just cherry pick the thing that will benefit you the most.
Exactly, right? So if hypothetically you go up against, let's say you're going to go up and play against an army that's got a lot of really tough bodies, maybe a lot of vehicles, and you know your close combat will traditionally have a struggle kind of mulching through it, you go lethal wounds.
Right.
Right? Or lethal hit start.
If you think combat's going to be a problem and you might get shot off the table early, just go with a 6 feel no pain.
Yeah, phenomenal.
And then
right?
their strats also trigger off of completed sagas,
which is awesome.
So you can get additional bonuses for just playing that, which is
because it unlocks the strats.
So cool. Yeah, it unlocks a single strat for each saga completed, which can make your army it can give you a huge buff.
Right. Suddenly that Ragnar with the 6 blade Garvets in the Impulsor just becomes absolutely nuts.
Oh, yeah.
I also know there's some big rule changes that are subtle that don't specifically say Space Wolves, but actually do affect it. So they changed the way the CP debuffing work. You know, let's say you have the Calidus Assassin and they make a CP more expensive, a stratagem more expensive for your opponent for the rest of the game. Well, they've removed the whole battle tactic and all that. So they've decomplicated it.
Yes.
But now it's a 12-inch aura that just makes strats more expensive. Yeah. And the awesome thing about that is Bjorn for sure just has that.
Yes.
So now Bjorn, not only is he a walking murder machine, but on top of that, around him, he makes your opponent's defensive strats and offensive strats more expensive.
Karos Fate Weaver does the same.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Right?
Having a 12-inch bubble on a big base.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right? So shut down some of the really nonsense, meta things that are going on. But when you look at things that aren't necessarily played, like Fate Weaver, I don't see very often.
No,
that's a real choice now. Right?
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Bjorn, that's a real choice now.
Yeah. 3-inch Deep Strike off Fate Weaver, have him shoot off some pretty solid, pretty high-powered shots.
Yeah, and suddenly it shuts down your opponent's strats too.
Making things more expensive.
Yeah. So I love that there is some kind of sideways buffs to the armies too. I also really love how they made the captain's change work. So what they did with the captain's change is instead of zeroing out certain battle tactics or making it just battle tactics or whatever, they took away the whole battle tactic thing, just like the other errata. And what they did is they just made all strats targeting the unit cost 1 less.
Yeah, which is phenomenal.
Easy. Basically, which is what it should have been kind of all along. The only downside is you can't do multiple strats in the same turn anymore.
That's fine.
Right? It is okay, though. But you can't Armor of Contempt.
It really it hurts Space Marines the most.
It hurts Space Marines the most, right? Because you really want the double Armor of Contempt sometimes.
Yes.
It's so much simpler and cleaner now, and I love anything from Games Workshop that reads simple and clean and easy to understand.
Yeah.
Is the best because
now you don't have to use Armor of Contempt. Now you can use any of the stratagems that you want, which is the best part.
Exactly.
So you get to play with all of your strats and not just focus on the ones.
And you don't have to worry about what's a battle tactic and what's not. And you don't have to check your opponent's stratagems. It's a nice, easy, clean rule, and I love that.
So overall, you're happy with the Space Marines? Are they sort of lateral move with some points adjustments and stuff like that?
It's kind of a lateral move. I think that the 25-point hike to Redeemers was a little offside. I don't know if it needed to go up quite that high. But you know what?
I think it hurts the people that just play one of them.
Yeah.
But I think it's a necessary curb to the people who play 2 or 3.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because it can just own. It's just its board presence is so ridiculous.
Yeah, it really is. So
I still think it's 100% viable for 280.
I think it is
285.
I think it is 100% viable too. Yeah. I just, but ultimately, I don't really care about the points hikes points drops again, don't really care. Like I think there's a lot of lateral moves. I don't think there's a lot of like, holy smokes, this is amazing. I am pumped that I might not see Ironstorm all the time. So you know what, let's
your old nemesis might be taking a nap.
Yeah.
Thank you all for sticking around. I am Ian. This is Space Marine Steve from Hyperspace Hobbies signing out.
Goodbye and good night.
No, good night.
Oh, sorry.
People are watching this in the morning.
What if they don't?
This is a breakfast show.
Is it a breakfast show?
I don't know.
We film it at nighttime. I don't know.